All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to take a tour of something you know like the back of your hand. Literally, the human body. But we're going to see it through a totally new lens, Mandarin Chinese. So, let's get started. So, let me ask you this. How much of a language is really hidden in our own bodies? I mean, it's easy to think of body parts as just this long, boring list of vocab words to memorize, right? But what if I told you there's so much more than that? They actually hold stories, little bits of culture, and some really surprising phrases. You'll see.
Okay, so here's our game plan, our little itinerary for the tour. First, we're going to get a big picture view of the body. Then, we'll zoom in, starting at the head and face, working our way down through the torso and arms, and finishing up with the legs and feet. And for the grand finale, we're going to uncover some of those fascinating phrases I mentioned, the ones hidden right inside these simple words.
All right, first stop. Before we dive into all the little details, let's get the basics down. You know, the foundational words for the body itself. Okay, so the main word for body is 身体. And from there, it's actually super logical. You've got the upper body, which is 上半身, and the lower body, 下半身. See? Pretty straightforward. Think of this as our map for the rest of this tour.
Okay, map in hand, let's head to our first major stop. We're starting right at the very top, the head and face. I mean, this is where so much of who we are, our identity, gets expressed, right? And the starting point for that is, naturally, the head, tóufǎ. It's a simple little word, but it's basically the anchor for everything else we're about to explore up here.
So, what's on the head? Well, first up, we've got hair, which is 头发. And what's cool is you can actually see the character for head, 头, right there in the word. Then there's the forehead, 额头. And maybe, just maybe, after a long day, a few wrinkles, or 皱纹. Okay, now let's talk about the face itself, 脸. On the surface, it seems totally straightforward. It's the word for, well, your face. But hang on, because this is where things start to get really interesting. Check this out. When you take that word, 脸, and you pair it with the character for to lose, you get diūliǎn. Now, this doesn't mean you're literally losing your face. No, it means you're losing face, losing your reputation, being publicly embarrassed. It's just a perfect example of how a simple body part is woven into this really deep cultural idea about honor and social standing. So cool. Okay, let's keep going with the face. Next up, the eye, 眼睛. And what's absolutely fascinating about this one is how it acts like a linguistic Lego block. You'll see, it's a building block for so many other ideas. See what I mean? The character for eye is the root of all of this. You add the character for a lens, and boom, you get eyeglasses, 眼睛. You add the character for water, and you get a tear, 眼泪. From eyebrows to those dark circles under your eyes, it all starts with eye. It's such an incredibly efficient and, honestly, elegant way to build a vocabulary. Okay, moving on from the eyes, let's talk about the ear. 耳朵. And just like we saw with the word for face, this simple little body part is holding on to a secret, a really vivid idiom. And here it is, a phrase, 耳旁风, 耳旁风. Now, this literally translates to wind by the ear. How great is that? Just picture it. Someone's talking, but their words are just blowing past you like a little gust of wind. It's the perfect, most memorable image for the idea of turning a deaf ear to someone or someone. All right, to wrap up our tour of the face, let's quickly cover everything around the mouth, or zuǐbā. So we've got teeth, that's 牙齿, the tongue, 舌头, your lips, 嘴唇, and finally the chin, which is 下巴. And there you have it. Our deep dive into the face is complete. Okay, let's keep this tour moving. We're heading downward now, arriving at the torso and arms. The core of our body, the real engine behind all our movements and actions. And right at the center of all that action is the hand, or shǒu. And guess what? Just like we saw with the eye, this one little character is like a key that unlocks a whole bunch of action words. You're probably seeing the pattern by now, right? You combine shǒu with the character for to hold, and you get wòshǒu, to shake hands. You combine it with to clap, you get shǒu, to clap your hands. It's just so wonderfully direct and logical, isn't it? Of course, the hand itself is made of fingers, or 手指. So let's do a quick roll call. You've got the thumb, 拇指, then the index finger, 食指, which literally means food finger. How practical is that? The middle finger is just 中指, middle finger. Now the ring finger is really interesting, 无名指, which means the nameless finger. And finally, the pinky, which is just 小指, the small finger.
Okay, and to round out our look at the upper body, let's quickly cover the torso itself, our core. We've got the shoulder, 肩膀, the chest, 胸, the belly, 肚子, the waist is yǎo, and of course, your back, which is bei.
All right, we're on the home stretch of our body tour. We're moving down to our foundation, the very things that connect us to the ground and carry us through the world, our legs and feet. And the logic here is just fantastic. The word for leg is tui. So what do you think the thigh is? It's literally big leg, 大腿. And the calf? You guessed it, small leg, 小腿. So simple. Then below that, you have the knee, 膝盖. The foot itself is jiǎo, and finally, the toes are 脚趾. And now, we've arrived at my absolute favorite part of this whole tour. We've already had a few little teasers, but now we're going to put it all together and look at some of the most surprising and sometimes hilarious phrases that are hidden inside these everyday body parts. This is where it all comes together so beautifully. You take the literal word for your rear end, 屁股, and it helps build a phrase that means to talk nonsense. We already saw how the word for face, liǎn, is absolutely key to that cultural concept of losing face. And remember the ear, 耳朵, giving us that amazing mental picture of wind by the ear. It just goes to show, when you learn about the body in a new language, you're not just learning words, you're learning the culture itself.
And just like that, our tour is at an end. But it kind of leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? If our own bodies, something we think we know so well, can hide all these incredible stories and layers of meaning, just imagine what other kinds of secrets and stories are waiting to be discovered everywhere else in the language.